Hi everyone, welcome to Organic Insight. In this particular video, I am going to discuss about IUPAC nomenclature of organic compounds which contains more than one functional group. That is, it can contains two functional or three, four like that. And suppose here I am taking with two functional group. If two functional group is there, suppose I will take A is the first functional group and B is another functional group, and here what I have to do is one functional group I have to take it as main functional group. This is main functional group and B is substituent functional group. Like this I have to divide it, and afterwards I have to, for the main functional group, normal as before in case of monofunctional group, we are adding secondary suffix for this, as this case will continue in case of main functional group. If suppose another functional group is there, we have to treat it as substituent. For this we have to use prefix. What are those prefix? We have to see in the next slide. And the secondary suffix, we know that for carboxylic acid we will use oic acid. This is oic acid, and for esters we will use O8. Correct. For alcohols we will use ol, OL. For aldehydes we will use al, AL. For ketones we will use on, and then for sulfonic acid we will use sulfonic acid only. This is sulfonic acid. Like this it will be keep on going. We already saw that secondary suffix, but what are these prefix for functional group? We will try to see in next slide. In case of polyfunctional compounds, one of the functional group is chosen as the principal functional group and the compound is then named based on that. The remaining functional group which are subordinate, that means which is attached to the functional other principal chain, are named as substituent using the appropriate prefixes. The choice of the principal functional group is made on that basis of order of preference. I told that already A and B is there as the two functional group. In these two functional group, which is the main functional group, that is the order we have to see over here. Carboxylic acid is of higher order priority, and then sulfonic acid, then ester, then acid halides, amides, cyanides, aldehydes, then ketones, alcohols, amines, and double bond and triple bond. Here the order is wrong over here. First of all, the double bond will get the higher priority compared to triple bond, like this. It has to be like this. Then suppose here I will take one simple example. Suppose A is carboxylic acid and B is aldehydes. Suppose CHO I want to write. In between these two functional group, I have to choose one functional group as main functional group. You can see over here carboxylic acid is having the highest priority compared to here aldehydes. That's why this is the main functional group. This is main functional group and this one is secondary or substituent functional group. For main functional group, I have to use secondary suffix. For carboxylic acid, it is oic acid. For this one, for substituent functional group, I have to use prefix. What are these prefixes? We have to say in upcoming slides. The prefixes is, I will not discuss over here suffix because we already discussed. For prefix only I will tell in this particular thing. Here group is carboxylic acid, we will use carboxy as the prefix. For sulfonic acid we will use sulfo as the prefix. For ester we will use alkoxycarbonyl. Suppose this particular group is there, here O and here CH3 is there, we will call it as methoxycarbonyl. This is the prefix we will call in case of ester. In case of acid halide, we will use halocarbonyl. In this case, if chlorine is attached, here chlorocarbonyl we will call. This is chloro and this is carbonyl, like that. And then for this one, cyanides, we will use cyano as the prefix. For aldehydes, we will use formyl. as the prefix. For ketones, we will use oxo. Then we'll see some example. Sorry, and next one is there. This is alcohol. We know that hydroxy is the prefix. For thiol, it is mercapto. And then for amines, amino is the prefix. Then we'll see some of the example over here. Suppose this is the given compound, I have to name this particular compound according to IUPAC nomenclature. And in this case, we know there are two functional group is there. One is aldehydes is there, and another is ketone, that is ON. Here I am just writing the secondary suffix over here. In this case, we know that whatever the aldehydes is there, it will get the highest priority from this from the previous slide, and that's why here I have to start the numbering from aldehydes. Aldehydic carbon also has to get the number 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 carbon is there. In this case, we know that this is the main principal chain, correct? This is the main principal chain. What is the subordinate functional group? That is ketone is there over here. For ketone, we have to use prefix, and we saw that for ketones, oxo is the prefix. That's why first of all, I have to locate where the oxo group is present. That is on the position 4, and then I have to use cap O over here, oxo, and then what is the IUPAC nomenclature for this particular group? That is, it contains 7 carbon atom, and with carbon carbon single bond is there. That's why it will become heptane, correct? Then this is aldehyde is there, then al. Elision of E has to taken place over here, heptanal we have to use. That is heptanal. In this case, I didn't added over here one al like that. Here heptan 1 al, because this is understood that always aldehydic, whatever the group is there, always it will be at terminal position. That's why for aldehydes and for carboxylic acid, we not needed to mention the locant of this functional group. Then we'll see another example. This is the another example. I have to start numbering from this particular end, because the group will get the least number. 6 and 7 is there, and here we know that oxo group, whatever the ketone group is there, it will get the highest priority compared to alcohol. That's why this is the main functional group, and this hydroxy group is there. This is the substituent functional group. That's why for this I have to add prefix. What is the locant of this particular one? That is 2 is there, and caps hydrogen, sorry, cap H have to write here hydroxy, 2 hydroxy, and then what is this functional group root word for this? This is hept is there, hept, and carbon carbon single bond is there. That's why here AN E. Then at the third position there is oxo group. Here elision of E has to taken place, and here heptan 3, and what is this secondary suffix for ketone? That is ONE. This is the IUPAC nomenclature, 2 hydroxy heptan 3 one. Like this we have to name. If we consider the next example, here one group is carboxylic acid and the other is amines. We saw that carboxylic acid will get the highest priority compared to amines. That's why this group is treated as the main functional group and amine as the secondary or substituent functional group. Here I have to start numbering from this particular end, 5 and 6, correct? And first of all, for amines we have to add prefix, and what is the locant of this? 6 is there, 6 amino, 6 amino. What is this group called as? This is root word is hex, and this is oic acid. It is hexanoic acid. This is the IUPAC nomenclature for this particular compound. Then suppose if two functional group is there, A and B, and if two are equal, that is A is equal to B, is similar to B, and which is present on the terminal position, I will tell some of this rule. First of all, we have to number from either side. It was similar in structure, that's why I will start from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and here 5 is there. 5 carbon means, what is the root word for this? It is pent. And between the carbon and carbon there is single bond. What is the primary suffix? That is pentane. And here there is no elision of E will take place in this particular case if two functional group identical and terminal. Here two functional group is there and it is similar functional group and present at terminal position. This three condition has to follow, which is there is no elision of E will takes place. And what are the pentane, and here how many functional group is there? That is two functional group, that's why I will use over here di. Without hyphen I have to use di and suffix, that is oic acid. This is pentane dioic acid is the IUPAC nomenclature for this particular compound. For this particular one, I have to start from either side, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 carbon is there. That is why what is the root word for this? That is heptane. I will write full in this case, elision of E will not take place in this case. And what is the, here two functional group is there, that is why I will add di. And what are the suffix for this? That is al. Heptane dial is the IUPAC nomenclature for this particular one. And in this case what is happen means we have to give the numbering 1, 2, 3 like that. And in this case what will happen is, in previous we didn't added any locants. Here 1 I didn't mention, and here 7, 1 comma 7 di, like that we didn't mention, because always we know that carboxylic acid and this particular group, that is aldehydes, always present at the terminal position. There is no need of adding the locant over here, but in other cases definitely we have to mention the locants of this functional group. This one another we can write like this one, that is OH and this OH. It is having same molecular, this is isomers, same molecular formula but different structural formula. Correct. For this one we have to start naming it as, since it contains 3 carbon, the root word and primary suffix is propane. Propane we have to write fully, and then with hyphen we have to write, and then what is the position of this 1 comma 3 di all. We have to write the IUPAC nomenclature like this. For this one, if I want to write, I will write it as 1, 2, 3. That is propane. Propane. There is no elision of E in this case also. 1 comma 2 diol. Like this, we have to name. And we'll consider different example which contains. Before that, I will discuss one thing. Suppose if this is the principal chain, and in this case what will happen, here A functional group is there and B functional group is there in principal chain only, and the third functional group it can attach directly like this. Or another case is, suppose here A is there and B is there over here, and it can attach as a side chain like this. Here C is there. There is a difference between these two particular compound. Here we saw that this 3 functional group attached to the same principal chain, this one, correct. And in this case what will happen, this is the principal chain if we want to consider, and the third functional group, this is C, it is not directly attached but with some substituent it is attached. In this case we have two types of nomenclature. I will discuss it with in details, and now we'll see some of the rules which for this case. Suppose if 3 functional group is there, tri-functional group, and where the third functional group is also directly attached to the main principal chain. In this case, what we have to do is certain function suffix we have to note down in this particular case. That is, if functional group is carboxylic acid, we have to name it as carboxylic acid as the suffix. For aldehydes, carbaldehyde is the suffix. For nitrile, we will use carbonitrile, and for acid halides, we will use carbonyl halide. For esters, we will use R, whatever this group name is there, that one, and carboxylate. For amides, we will use carboxamide. We will try to name this particular compound so that we can understand easily. Here I have to start numbering from any this carbon, not from carbonyl compound, carbonyl carbon, but from adjacent carbon. I have to start numbering in this particular case. The main points is it contains tri-functional group, and 3 of the functional group is attached to the principal chain, and in this case we should not numbering from carbonyl carbon. This is the rule for naming this type of functional groups. In this case, I have to start numbering from adjacent one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It contains 5 carbon atom. That's why I have to name it as pentane. Pentane. Again, I have to separate from hyphen. What are the locant of this 3 functional group? 1, 2, and 3. Correct. In this case, we saw that 1, 3, and 5 are the locants. 1, comma 3, comma 5. There are 3 functional groups. That's why I have to write it as tri. What are the suffix? We saw that over here for carboxylic acid, it is carboxylic acid only. That's why here tri carboxylic acid. Acid. This is the IUPAC nomenclature for this particular compound. Pentane 1,3,5 tricarboxylic acid. Then we'll see another example. This one I have to start numbering not from this carbonyl carbon but from adjacent one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Correct. I should not count this particular carbon. In the previous also, you can observe over here, I didn't counted this one as a 6. Correct. Up to this one is sufficient for naming this type of compounds. Here, the what is the root word for 4th carbon? That is bute, and the primary suffix is ane. That is why butane hyphen I have to put over here, and 1 and 2 and 4 are the locants where this particular group is attached. Therefore, butane 1, 2, 4, again hyphen tri carbaldehyde. Carbaldehyde is the IUPAC nomenclature, IUPAC name for that particular compound. And here another molecule I will be taking as another example. I have to start numbering from not from this particular cyanide, this group, but from adjacent one. From this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 carbon atoms in the principal chain without this functional group. Correct. Therefore, I have to write it as hexane. Hexane I will write because the primary suffix is ane over here. That's why ane is there. Again hyphen, and what are the locants where the CN group is attached? That is 1, 3, and 6. 1, 3, 6 tri carbonitrile, carbonitrile. This is the IUPAC nomenclature, and the rule has to follow this. What are the rules is there over here? It has to follow this rule, that is the three functional group has to attach to the same principal chain. If suppose if it not attached to the principal chain, I will take one example over here. Suppose here I have CHO, that is aldehyde group is there, and over here also aldehyde group with similar functional group I am talking over here. It contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this one has 7 is there, and over here I will write it as CH2 and then CHO like this. In this case, what we have to do is we have to select the longest principal chain, and we know that from here I will start the numbering from carbonyl carbon 3, 4, 5, 6, and here also 7. I have to give numbering from this particular group. It is little bit confusing, but here we saw that the three functional group is not attached to the principal chain where it is separated by this particular methyl group, correct? Okay, in this case, what we have to do is we have to name this substituent first. What is the locant of this? It is 3 is there, and afterwards we have to separate by hyphen. And what is this particular group called as? This is formyl group. We know that CHO is called as formyl. We have to parenthesis we have to use over here, and here with caps we have to use for formyl. This is formyl. And what is this group called as? This is methyl, formyl methyl. We have to use formyl methyl. We have to close this bracket, and here what is the root word for which contains 7 carbon atom? It is hept. Without space and hyphen, I have to write it as hept. Between carbon and carbon there is a single bond, that's why heptane. We are, there is no elision of E over here. Heptane without hyphen I have to write dial, because here what is the secondary suffix for aldehyde? That is Al. 3 hyphen, we have to open the bracket. What are the substituent is there? We have to name it in that bracket, that is formyl methyl. We have to close without any space. We have to write the root word for this particular principal chain, that is heptane. And since there are two functional group, we have to name it as dial. We already named this particular group in here, correct? That's why this two functional group I named at the last. And we'll move on to the next one. It is CN over here, and CH2, CH2, CH here. Suppose this is the given compound. I have to start numbering from this particular end, or here also I can give it as 1. Suppose this one I will be taking it as a substituent functional group. That's why I will try to name from this one. 3, 4, 5 and 6. There are 6 carbon atom in the principal chain. That's why hexane will come as in the principal chain. This is the side chain. Side chain has to name it in prefix. What is the prefix for this one? This is cyano group is there, and here methyl group is there. What are the locant of this? It is 3. 3. Then we have to open the bracket, and here cyano, correct? Cyano. And what is this group called as? This is methyl. Cyano methyl, and we have to close the bracket, and after over here it is contains 6 carbon. That's why hexane dinitrile. This group is called as nitrile. And here one thing will get confused, because I already named this particular carbon as 1. if I name from this particular one, I have to call it as nitrile. Suppose if like this group is there, if I name from this particular carbon, I have to call this whole group as nitrile, sorry, cyanide, cyano group we have to call, but here since I named from this particular one, I'm calling it as nitrile. This is the IUPAC name for this particular molecule. Then we'll move on to the next example, which is little bit difficult I will take, and here aldehyde group is there, and here CH2, CH2, and then try to name this particular compound by pausing the video. If you don't solve, it's okay, you can, I will guide you. Here, here also is there. It contains 4 formyl group, that is aldehydic group. In this case, what I have to do is I have to start the numbering. Numbering I will do from this side, because this group, this 2 group will, I can take it as a substituent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 carbon is there. And here in the third position, I have 2 functional group which is similar. That's why I had to use bis, correct? And tris, mono, bis, tris, tetrakis, we already saw that, correct? Because in this case, which it contains at the third position, we have to name it as 3 comma 3, and again I have to use bis, and afterwards I have to open the bracket, and here formyl, this is formyl methyl, formyl methyl, and I have to close the bracket. Over here, this principal chain, it contains 6 carbon with carbon-carbon single bond. That's why it is hexane, hexane dial. This is the IUPAC nomenclature for this particular compound. Then we'll take up with similar kind. Here carboxylic acid is there, and over here I will write in bond line form. Here COOH, and over here also CH2 COOH, and here also CH2 COOH, correct? Like this it is there. Now it is a highly symmetrical molecule. I can take it numbering from any side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At the third position, similar group is there as a side chain, that is, this is carboxylic acid and this is methyl, carboxy methyl. We have to use it as prefix. That's why I will name it as 3 comma 3. Since similar group is there on either side, I will write it as bis, and I have to open the bracket. Here carboxy, the acid group is called as carboxy, and then this particular methyl group, carboxy methyl, I have to close the bracket. Over here I am finding 5 carbon, that's why pentane, ane, because of primary suffix is ane, there is carbon carbon single bond, that's why here I will write it as di, and here oic acid, dioic acid. This is the IUPAC nomenclature for this particular compound. 3 comma 3 bis carboxy methyl pentane dioic acid. I hope this video was very helpful for you people. We'll meet on next video. Thank you very much for watching.